Welcome to Section 2, Video 5, exploring the Unreal Engine 4 interface and importing our assets. In this video, we are going to familiarize ourselves with the Unreal Engine 4 interface, build out our gameplay level, and import our assets. The Unreal Engine 4 interface is a completely customizable interface that allows you to modify the layout of panels, or windows. The content browser, which we have placed in the bottom left corner of the screen, is a file browser for assets or files that are related to the project. To modify the layout of panels, we can simply click on the tab of the panel that we would like to move and drag that panel to a new location. As you may see, the engine features a panel snapping feature that allows us to snap panels without having to resize them. The panel that features our game world is called the viewport. This is our view into the game world without having to control the player. Let's go over some of the viewport features. In the top left corner of the screen is the arrow of the viewport for options of the viewport, such as field of view, debugging any performance problems from our art assets, and other such options. Next to that is our perspective tab, which we can change to snap our viewport to a new view. Next is our rendering mode. This will default to lit mode, which is how the game will look when playing. Next is our editor flags tab, which we will use to show or hide specific developer features that can only be seen in the viewport and are meant to help with development. Now we will move over to the top right corner of the viewport. Let's start with our multi-viewport, which allows us to use multiple viewports to open and maximize a specific one that we would need. Next is our camera speed within the viewport, which controls how fast our camera moves within the world in the viewport. This will default to 4. Next is our scaling snapping, which we select the drop-down to change the snapping amount, or to turn off the snapping we can select the icon next to the drop-down. Next is the rotation snapping, which works in concept the same as scaling snapping does, but with degrees. Next is translation snapping, which works the same as rotation and scaling snapping, but with moving an object within the world through the viewport. Next to the translation snapping toggle button are extra options for translation. Next is the toggle button between transform gizmo within the world and local space. Finally is the translation, rotation, and scaling gizmo buttons, which allow you to switch between the three via the button that is selected. You may also press W for translation, E for rotation, and R for scaling. These buttons on the keyboard are known as hotkeys. The Details panel shows all of the available options that can modify an object within the editor. In other game engines, this may be known as the inspector. At the top of the screen is the toolbar, which features the large buttons such as Save, Source Control, Content, Marketplace, Settings, and many more. At the bottom of the screen is the output log, which is a console that would tell us exactly what the engine is doing in some manner. To deselect an object within the viewport, you can select the Escape key. Next to the content browser is the message log, which will notify us of any errors or warnings within our code or that occur during gameplay or runtime. Now we will start by building our gameplay level. Select the Modes panel and select Basic, had it already selected it already. If the Modes panel is not showing up and you are missing a panel, you may select Window in the top left and check Modes if it is not showing up, or whatever panels you may require. This is where all the windows for Unreal are that can be used right now in case you close a window that you didn't intend to close. Scroll down in the Modes Basic panel and click and drag any of the basic shapes to use for the level, such as cubes, spheres, cylinders, cones, etc. We are currently using a plane for the floor, and the plane cannot be seen from below. While holding the right mouse button, press any of the W, A, S, and D keys to move forwards, backwards, left, or right, and this also works with the arrow keys. Hold the right mouse button to click and drag in the viewport to look around. While holding the right mouse button down, press E or Q to move up and down within the viewport. These are commonly known as first-person controls. You can also hold the Alt key and left-click and drag to orbit around an object that you have selected or within that general area of where you selected. If you would like for an object to snap to the ground, you can do this by selecting the object and pressing the End key on the keyboard. Another option may be to select the object, right-click, transform, snap and align, and snap to floor. You may also drag in assets from the starter content folder into the viewport, which works the same way when dragging in from the modes panel. You may pause the video now to build out your level while also not being overly complicated. Once you have finished making your level, we will be adding some extra post-process effects, such as a light mass importance volume, which will build out our lighting for our level. Once you have finished making your level how you would like, go to the modes panel, go to volumes, and scroll down until you see light mass importance volume and drag that into the level. We will then scale this in the X, Y, and Z by 10,000. We will build our lighting for our level, and this volume will let the engine know that we only want to build lighting within this volume. Go to Build and select the Build Options drop-down arrow in the top toolbar and select Build Lighting Only. Once lighting has finished building, we will select the Save All option in the content browser, and this will save all of our assets and changes that we've done within the level, as well as building our lighting. Select Save Selected, and this will save all the work that you've done. We will now import our provided assets into Unreal. Now, close the Unreal Editor and Visual Studio if applicable, and then open the File Explorer, go to the location of the assets provided, and copy those files. Now we will go to the project folder location and open the content folder and paste the provided assets within the content folder. It is important to paste it into the content folder, as Unreal's file management system will only pick it up when it is imported directly to that folder. In the event that you pasted it into the wrong folder, simply delete those files, open the project, save all, close the project, and paste the files into the content folder. Now open the project to find all of those assets located inside. In the content browser, select Filters, go to Other Filters at the bottom, and check Show Redirectors. These allow you to see any ghost file paths that were not cleaned up by the file management system. If any are found, you can right-click the content folder inside the content browser and select Fix Up Redirectors. This will take care of any ghost files. In the next section, we will be creating our player character.